But let's get into this Target story first, because I did find this interesting. I was listening to Eric July video yesterday, I feel like, and I think he was talking about this, and he was really encouraging people and saying like, hey, you do have power, you do have a way to influence these people. You just gotta like actually speak up about it. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, though, and I was kind of like thinking about that video, and then obviously thinking about this, it's kind of almost contrary to a lot of the individualist messages that I feel like go around, because this wasn't changed because one or two people were like, oh, this is terrible. No, it was because there was a chorus of people throwing hay, multiple people getting upset. People were literally going to Targets and like confronting,
and like, what the absolute hell is this?
Yeah. And so you had a mass amount of people that were really pissed, and for sure they weren't like, maybe they weren't like all part of like a union or something like that specifically organized, but I think they were loosely organized through social media to push back against this stuff. And so you had people actually like raising awareness about it, like letting people know about it, and then other people were going to their local Targets, and raising hay. So I think that is something that we don't discuss a lot, at least I feel like in a lot of the circles that I kind of see here, where it's very like promoting the individual. You can do it yourself, when I think when we see actual things like this happening, it's done through people working together. This might be a word that people don't like, but working together as a collective. So I do think that's interesting, when people can come together and affect change. So this is from Breitbart. This is the update here, and I'd be interested. What do you kind of make of that, Jacob? As we get into this, so Target has removed their pride-themed item. Yeah, scroll down. Target has removed pride-themed items associated with the Satanist designer Ab Pralin due to the backlash it has since received over the partnership. So they've removed it, apparently, according to Breitbart. So what do you make of this, and this kind of like idea that people coming together as a collective can actually affect change on these corporations?
So there's a couple of ways looking at this story, because we kind of covered a story similar to this last night about WWE and the Roman Reigns t-shirt that had an image that people identify with the Baphomet, which is another satanic idol as well. But I'm going to just take on this story for a second. The big takeaway here is that they knew what they were doing. Like, I don't buy the back down. And it was like, oh, we're gonna like, look, these people know what they're doing. What we've seen with corporations over the last few weeks is that they will get away with what we allow them to get away with. So obviously 100%. When Bud Light did the whole thing with Dylan Mulvaney, they weren't expecting to get the backlash that they were getting. Now, I think at some point they've lost almost $16 billion in value since that whole thing happened. And there's people who probably won't buy Bud Light again, because now it's just become like a massive meme. Like the whole Bud Light thing is not going away anytime soon. Here's the thing with Target. I don't know who in their marketing department, maybe it's another white woman, who knows, but who thought this was a good idea to begin with. It's like, oh yeah, let's make satanic Baphomet imagery and sell that at our stores, and then expect there to be no backlash, especially when you're starting to aim this stuff towards children who are impressionable. You know exactly what you're doing. So they got a swift enough backlash to like, hey, look, this might end up killing our entire store to the point we become the next Kmart. Now they're trying to pretend like, hey, we didn't know, like, we didn't see this coming. This is what happens all the time. If we allow them to get away with it, they will get away with it. When they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, then they'll pretend like they're backing off by saying, oh, well, we didn't know what this is going on. Remember the whole Balenciaga thing a few months ago, which, funny enough, people have just completely forgotten about, how a high-end fashion brand was hiding in all these messages about child pornography and child torture and all these really dark, evil stuff that, it was so blatant that they couldn't even pretend like, oh, it was an oversight, we didn't know that was there. Somebody intentionally put that there, and because they were getting away with it for so long, they just kept doing it until somebody finally saw the pattern. And then all of a sudden, we didn't mean to offend anyone by this. It's like, they know what they're doing. They know exactly the agenda that they're pushing. And as long as we sit here and say nothing about what they're doing, they're going to continue to do do it until they get enough backlash, until they get enough anger. Then they'll go the apology route. Well, they pretend like, oh, hey, we didn't know, guys. Oopsie daisies. Well, no, they like for. I think Eric July said this multiple times. It's like we far surpass the time of giving them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to stuff like this. Like if you guys can't see what they're doing, they're shoving it so far in your face right now. We used to talk about the whole saying of a wolf in sheep's clothing. They don't need sheep's clothing anymore. They're just straight up presenting themselves as the wolf, and some people are either still letting them in or just ignoring that they're
Like
there in the first place. Yeah, so I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways we can talk about this story, but yeah, look, when people tell you who they are, start believing them. Stop thinking that, oh, okay, maybe there's something else. No, if they're telling you exactly who they are, take them at their word.
Yeah, so I'm actually really interested. So obviously, I 100% agree with you that Target knew what they were doing. They knew what they were getting in bed with here. They vet these companies. It wasn't some kind of oversight. They knew what they were doing. They knew they were pushing this stuff. They've clearly got it marked out, ready to go for next month, for June month, for Pride month, that they've co-opted. It's basically sodomy month is what it really should be called, because that's what it is. But I think also that, like, and I think you're right here too, is that people did raise hay. People raised hay and they pulled back. And that's kind of where I was really interested in, is the fact that people did indeed raise the hay. It does feel like there is some kind of momentum here with the Bud Light, now with Target, where these companies are kind of pulling back. But I think the real question now is, do you keep the pressure on? Obviously, with Bud Light, clearly the pressure is still on there. It's not getting any better. People aren't buying their beers whatsoever at all. With Target, it's a little bit different because it is consumer focused, whereas like with Bud Light, their consumers, much like comic shops are, or much like comic book publishers, are basically grocery stores and bars and stuff like that. It's not just consumers like Target is, where they're selling direct to consumers, whereas like comic publishers aren't selling direct to consumers for the most part. Man, my mouth is going really dry right here. They're selling to the small local comic shops instead of direct to consumer. So I was just kind of curious about that. In that dynamic is how compared to Target and Bud Light. And do you see people continuing to raise hay and make it so that this stuff is unsellable and that Target will never stock it ever again?
Well, here's the problem, and this is kind of like the bigger problem here. It's like, it's not just Target, it's not just Bud Light. As we're going to see here for the next week or here or so, when we hit to our Pride Month, it's pretty much every single major corporation, any kind of major global corporation in the world that's like that is all in on this agenda. If you think that it's bad now, like I know there was a commercial going around today with the North Face clothing brand, if I'm not mistaken, about how they had like some open homosexual who were like, they said that it was a commercial aimed at children. I didn't see that from the short clip that I saw, but I'll have to watch it again. But yeah, if you think that is bad now, it's going to ramp up 100-fold over the next few weeks when every corporation goes straight to rainbow colors, and they're going to start putting drag queens all over your timelines, all over your commercials. You're going to see it, and especially it's going to hit towards kids as well. So you think that Disney's probably has about a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be pushed towards kids over the next few weeks. Nickelodeon's probably going to join them. Cartoon Network. It's like, this is only the calm before the storm with stuff like this. It's going to get much, much worse over the next few months. So you have to really take note to all of these companies that are doing this, because it's not just a handful, it's the overwhelming majority at this point. And if you're truly against this agenda that they're trying to push, it's time to start figuring out exactly who these companies are and holding them accountable. Like, you have to completely cut out as much as you possibly can with these people, because they're trying to hit you at all fronts right now.
Josh, what do you make of Target seemingly removing these items from the store after the backlash?
So it's interesting though, because not precisely about Target, but it's the same thing that happens when you get like backlash. But for instance, the Bud Light thing, right? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that still want to buy it, but they won't buy it, even if they don't agree with like or maybe they agree with the Mulvaney thing, but they're not buying it because it's like, Well, it's kind of like peer pressure. So if you see like a bunch of people just dismissing the beer and not buying it, it's like, well, maybe I don't know what's wrong, but I don't want to drink it anyways. So I feel like but by the way, I'm obviously, I like that this is happening. I like that the whole thing is just kind of like falling apart. The problem is that how long is it going to last, right? So just like Jacob was saying, or you were saying, I don't know. It's just a matter of weeks when Pride Month actually starts, and then we're just going to see the same thing over and over again, and we're going to see the Twitter thing, and all these big name companies using the changing the logos, using the rainbow thing, and I don't know honestly what's going to happen, but it's all just virtue signaling. I mean, they're not really committed to it. I don't know. I think I'm really enjoying. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the backlash with with a bowl of popcorn, because it's just funny to me. Not really sure I answer your question though.
It's fine.
Probably not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't. I was a little bit distracted though.
What were you distracted by?
I was just looking at the chat and reading all those things.
He's just harassing people on the side during the show. Don't pay too much attention to him.
Oh yeah. No, I've become the target.
Here, I got something for you. I downloaded this clip a little while, so I'm just gonna. It's quick, so.
Democrats, with love, you make no sense. You're like, we're in the resistance. What are you exactly resisting? You have the presidency, you have the House, you have the Senate, you have all of corporate America, you have the media, late night comedians, literally all of it. You control the message of society, you control the narratives, you control everything. But you're in a resistance. You resist nothing. You are a useful idiot for the elites. You imagine yourself to be in some sort of rebellion, but in reality, you are the empire. So my wish for you is for you to wake up, look in the mirror, and be like, oh my gosh, I'm actually not one of the good guys.
I think I met that guy in Orlando last year.
Father Miller says, "Stop being a living stereotype."
That's just me.
I kind of agree. Honestly, he's got the right message. I don't know if he's the right person to be delivering the message, because clearly they do control a lot of the aspects. We talk about this. I feel like on a weekly basis, the government's pushing this. The corporations are pushing this. Every facet of society seemingly is pushing this on people to try and adopt this stuff. I mean, they're literally, like, Target was literally selling clothes, trying to promote transgender ideology to toddlers. And it's made by a self-described satanic brand. Like, that's how far it's gotten.
Like I said,
out society.
Remember pitch meetings? Remember when pitch meetings were a thing? It was like the idea is that you're sitting in a room, you're looking for new ideas. Somebody pitches an idea like, hey, let's work with this person. And then someone will raise their hand and be like, yeah, I don't think that's such a good idea. It's like, we don't have those meetings anymore. Everyone's like, oh yeah, let's work with satanic brands. Brilliant. Let's get right on this right away. And then somehow we're shocked that there's outrage after the fact. Like I said, they knew exactly what they were doing. They just weren't expecting that people were going to get as angry about it as they did.